Today we are going to discuss about breaking bad news in pediatric care. I am Dr. Suresh Badanmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at NIMHANS, Bangalore. Before I start my presentation, I would like to place a disclaimer. This presentation is for academic and training purpose only. If you want to have a legal opinion, please do contact an advocate, and for clinical opinion, please do contact a pediatrician. Conflict of interest? None. Breaking bad news in pediatric care. Imagine if you are a healthcare professional, maybe pediatrician, maybe a nurse, providing care to children. Now, on one day, you have to break a bad news, telling that a child is suffering from terminal cancer. How would you like to break the bad news to the parents? That is what we are going to discuss in this video. And also, what is the current research? What are the barriers? And what are the solutions will be discussed in this video. First and the foremost, breaking bad news in pediatric care is very difficult. Especially pediatrician when they have to break a bad news to the parents telling their loved kid or a child is suffering from a disability, or it is a special child, or it may have a terminal cancer. In such a scenario, it's very difficult to communicate to the parents, and it often becomes a big challenge. Many a time, the healthcare providers usually avoid such situation, either by making a passing comment and they try to move away from that place. The main reason being is breaking bad news is not taught as a part of a curriculum either during UG or in PG. Else, this issue of discussing bad news is very important at this point of time. In the background of pandemic, the pediatric care and breaking the bad news to the parents becomes very crucial. Why it is very difficult? Of course, one is there is no adequate training, but there are many other reasons why the breaking bad news, especially in pediatric care, to the parents becomes highly challenging. First and the foremost, many of the healthcare professionals have not been trained how to handle emotions with regard to parents, or if the child starts crying, or if it is an adolescent. Even they do not know how to handle their own emotions with regard to the patient care. So handling emotion is a big challenge. Further, how to communicate bad news, what should be the timing, where to do, how to do. So those is again a big challenge to the healthcare professionals. Further, in certain cases where the diagnosis is uncertain, the treatment outcome or response is uncertain, how to deal with the poor prognosis, how to communicate it is a poor prognosis, how to tell the family that I don't know, I can't predict, there is uncertainty. And many a time, the healthcare professional or pediatrician themselves are worried, I may not be able to answer their question, or else I may not know at all how to answer these difficult questions. This big challenge avoids them to face this difficult situation. At the same time, they also feel, what do the parents will think? How they are going to behave? Will they cry? Will they shout at me? Will they become angry? Will there be a violence against the healthcare professional? So these are the thoughts which will be constantly running in the healthcare professional when they have to break a bad news to the parents. At the same time, they also feel guilty, they feel helpless, they feel that they are incompetent. I might not be able to help them. So such kind of thoughts creates barrier to provide care. Doctor also expressed dilemma with related to prognosis. Let's discuss those prognoses. The first prognosis is when there is a terminal cancer or terminal illness where it is a definitive child is going to die. That is A. B. If there is a fluctuating prognosis where the pediatrician or the healthcare provider is unable to pinpoint what is the prognosis, what will happen next week, they are unable to say. That is fluctuating course. All or none prognosis, especially in cardiac surgery, where the child enters to the operational theater and the cardiac surgeon may not be able to give a definitive information how much the child will be able to survive or not. So that is all or none. The third, where there is no diagnosis is made. So in such a scenario, the pediatrician and the healthcare providers find it very difficult to engage the patients and the family members. So these are the three: fluctuating prognosis, all or none prognosis, where the diagnosis itself is doubtful. In such a scenario, the healthcare providers become helpless. Further, the biggest dilemma is, should we involve the child and the adolescent in discussion about their diagnosis, prognosis, and future life? So this dilemma has not been closed till now. It depends upon the individual case, and it depends upon how the parents deal this situation. This is one of the important article which was published in 2021 by Margie Browser. This article talks about breaking bad news, what parents would like to know. This is one of the scholarly article which was published in Archives of Disease in Childhood. This article should be read by every pediatrician who are dealing with terminal illness, who are going to do the breaking bad news with the parents with regard to the child. This article is very essential, and if you ask me, should become a part of the curriculum. And we will be discussing now practical ways to improve the communication of bad news based on parents' experiences. This article talked about how the parents expressed that what are the best way the bad news would have been communicated to them. So let's discuss them and also find solution. First and the foremost, the healthcare provider should know the process of grief. The process of grief has been well documented and explained by Elizabeth Ross Kubler. Basically, the Kubler clearly said about the 6 stages. That is, whenever there is a information or a bad news is given, there will be shock, there will be denial, anger, bargain, depression, and acceptance. Invariably, when the parents get to know the bad news, that is their child is suffering from certain illness or a disability or it is going to die, they will go through this process. If it is expected death, the process would be somewhere in the anger or it may be in the bargain. If it is unexpected, they will be shocked. So the healthcare professional should be able to gauge where the parents are in this steps of grief. So if they are able to identify, they can lead them through the grief process and make them accept the reality. This is the number one. Coming to the important second is lack of time. Healthcare professionals who are working in emergency may not have time at all. They will be continuously seeing one case after the other case. And when they have to give or break a bad news, especially in emergency, the time is not there. Sometimes they may not communicate at the right time. They may communicate early. Sometimes they may not communicate at all because of various reasons. The reasons are basically time and trained human resources are not available. So this is the second important thing. Third one, preparing for the interview. That is how to break the bad news. That is, the healthcare provider should review the records, do rehearsal to what to say, how to say, choosing the words, avoiding certain words should be done. At the same time, verbal and non-verbal skills should be given importance. The way we say, at the same time, our posture, our open-handed gesture, all those things matters a lot. At the same time, the healthcare professional should be in a professional attire. Team members who are there when they are breaking the bad news, debriefing their team before they enter into the room to explain the family members who will speak. The person who knows about the case should speak, place of interview, time, and also you have to have certain time to discuss because invariably it will last for 30 to 45 minutes. So you have to give time. Breaking bad news cannot be done in a very short time. At the same time, you have to prepare the parents. Give subtle indication when you're planning for investigation because most of the pediatricians know the diagnosis. Invariably, they have to confirm the diagnosis. Do not just write the investigation. You have to explain them, I'm asking for this investigation because I'm suspecting or a provisional diagnosis is this. If this is a diagnosis, what may happen? And prepare them for the worst results. That is very essential. If you don't prepare them and you reveal the diagnosis, it will be shocking for them. And also, plan to reveal the reports, information in a planned way. Allowing parents to ask questions. Once you have revealed the diagnosis, you have to be very clear, explain them in the lay terms, avoid medical terminology. At the same time, you also should ask them how and who are the people who are going to be involved in the treatment process. At the same time, how they like to go about planning in the treatment of the child. So these issues need to be discussed then and there only. At the same time, provide immediate plan of action, because when you have given the bad news, the family members and the parents will be confused. They do not know what to do. They will be numb. The emotional numbness takes over. Their cognitive function ability decreases. Hence, you have to give what will be the next step. Inform about the treatment, cost of treatment, insurance, other option for treatment. So this is very essential. Further, you need to provide coping skills. Some tips has to be given. Give them information. At the same time, ask them to go read certain authenticated websites. If possible, give booklets. And sometimes there are helpline numbers available with regard to certain illness. Those helpline numbers, self-help group can be provided. At the same time, plan for the next follow-up, if it is possible within few days. If there is a long follow-up date, ask your team members to call them up, talk to them how they are doing within next couple of days. At the same time, the healthcare professional should be comfortable with the uncertainties and ambiguity. Uncertainties about the diagnosis and prognosis, and also ambiguity regarding the diagnosis. You need to discuss with regard to treatment plan, outcome, procedure, side effects. These uncertainties and ambiguities should be discussed. The reason being is most of the family members and parents want to know what is going to happen with their child and what is the future of their child. If you are uncomfortable, please do talk to your seniors, take second opinion. Respect the family's coping skills. This is very essential for many of our modern medicine practitioners, because many a time our allopathy doctors become defensive when the patient's family member asks for a second opinion. Please encourage them, because this is going to decrease the litigation. At the same time, many of the family members refuse treatment. In such a scenario, explain them, keep the door open, tell them whenever you feel want to come back for treatment, please come back. But at the same time, give a small indication, if you come late, I may not be able to help you to the extent. At the same time, they also would like to take help from the alternative complementary health medicine. So please do not make any comment about the CAM, that is basically complementary alternative medicine. The reason being, if they have a faith, you cannot force to undergo treatment under allopathy. That's not good. Further, many of the parents would like to do certain rituals. It may be religious rituals, maybe contacting the faith healing process, because this is a process of grief. They are trying to they have shock, they have a denial. They do this to cope. Please facilitate them, but at the same time, make sure that they enter into the treatment plan. Suppose if the parents have planned for a treatment, they are undergoing chemotherapy and they request for a religious ceremony, please do give permission. The reason being is it's a grieving process. They are trying to cope. This is a healthy way of coping, and please do enable that. Further, you also need to teach them and also learn how to handle emotions. Many a time, the parents may become shocked, they may be crying, they may become angry, they may be shout, there may be violence. So allowing time for the family members to grieve, express their emotion is very important. At the same time, if you feel that the family's emotion is becoming overwhelming, you have to tell them, yes, we should take a break now and rejoin after 10 minutes. I'm giving you time to have discuss with your own family members and also to control our own emotions. That is very essential. At the same time, you need to foster ventilation. Do not stop them. If the mother is crying, don't cry. There is no point in telling that, because you need to allow her to ventilate, allow her to cry. That is the way the grieving process takes. At the same time, you have to validate emotions. Basically, if the father feels that he is not able to help the child, you may have to say like this: if I am in your position, I may not be, being a doctor, I may not be able to help my child. That means you're validating the emotions. That means this kind of guilt is normal. Otherwise, many a time parents feel guilt telling that they did not do enough to their child and they go into depression, which is unwarranted at this point of time. These kinds of restructuring the cognition is very essential. Coming to the confidentiality, you need to discuss with the family members and the parents who are the people who will be involved in the care, with whom to discuss whether we should involve the child or not. Should we involve other siblings, that is brother and sisters, in the discussion process? And you also need to know how to reveal, when to reveal. At the same time, you have to provide age and developmental appropriate language has to be used and communication has to be used to the child if the parents give permission. Because this is very essential, especially in adolescent, if they have to cooperate for the treatment. At the same time, you also should know preparing them for eventuality. You have to teach them how to process the whole treatment plan, the outcome, where to seek help, give them self-help groups, addresses, family intervention if required, guiding them through this emotional stress period, and at times spirituality referral. If the family believes in religious or spirituality, please refer them. At the same time, you need to collaborate with the parents. The reason being is they are the one who are going to remember you for the life, because any child's illness and you are providing treatment or care to their child, who is the most loved one. If you give a good care, irrespective of the outcome, they will remember you to their life. So helping the family to overcome the grieving process makes a lot of sense. At the same time, they remember you, and also they will feel maybe overwhelmed. At the same time, they feel indebted to the healthcare professional. At the same time, try to give a meaning out of the event, because the human being wants to know why this happened to me. Why my child? These kinds of questions will be arising whenever there is a bad event occurs. Giving a meaning to an event and making them to become altruistic will be helpful for the society. Hence, collaborating with the family members is very essential. At the same time, you need to know about the team's burnout issues. You are also a human being. By looking at the children dying in front of you, you may also have emotional issues. Debriefing, talking to the team members, allowing ventilate to the family members at times. Some parents will be unreasonable. They may give repeated complaints against your team members. Do not pounce upon your team members. Know the strengths and weakness of your team members. Please listen to the parents and you say, I will take appropriate action. But before you do anything with your team members, talk to them. Ask them what was the reason, what happened. Because you need to ask both sides of the stories. Sometimes it may be only one side, because parents are going through a stressful time. For a small event, they may make a big issue out of that. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with your team members' burnout issues. To conclude, my dear friends, please keep watch on your verbal and non-verbal communication to the parents. When you break the bad news, time, place, person, and make adequate time. And also privacy is very essential. Please do discuss about uncertainties, doubts with regard to prognosis, outcome, and treatment. If you have a doubt yourself, please ask for second opinion. Help them to find authenticated information from the internet or from another healthcare provider. Help the family members to go through the grieving process. Refer if required for a mental health professional also, especially if the father and mother starts fighting with regard to the child's care. That is the time you have to refer them to a family therapist also. Please do remember, talk to parents about the future of their child, especially when the prognosis is uncertain or it is very bad. Because every parent wants to know about the prognosis and the future of their child. Thank you very much for giving your valuable time. Stay safe.